Welcome back, YouTube. It's your boy Noah back with another video. First of all, I want to say thank you to all those who watched my first video, if you want to call it that. Really, just like a rant. I was just talking in that one, but this one will be a little more focused than the last video. Again, thank you for all who watched it. I think it got like 14 views in like the first week. That's pretty cool for the first video. Thank you. Um, so in this video, I want to talk about the new Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man TV show that just released on Disney Plus. Or they released the first 2 episodes. I believe it was Thursday. So these are my thoughts on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Alright, for all of y'all who may not know this, the show originally was supposed to be an origin story for the MCU's version of Peter Parker. But I'm not exactly sure what happened, but they changed it, so now it's kind of its own thing with MCU inspired, stuff in it, which I think is pretty cool. It allows the show to deviate from the history of the MCU, so in this universe, anything could happen. And it doesn't have to abide by the events of the MCU, which I think is pretty cool. When I first saw the trailers for the show, I really wasn't that hyped for it. I don't know. I think maybe it was the trailers that wasn't selling it for me. It might have also at first been the art style, which I will talk about later. I also grew up watching Spectacular Spider-Man 2, so that's peak Spider-Man cartoon, if you ask me. Also, Ultimate Spider-Man was okay. So, and I didn't even watch the version that came out in 2017. I didn't know anything about it until like a couple of years ago, and I have not heard good things from that. So, but when I watched the trailers for this show, I wasn't really excited about it, if I'm being honest. And I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man's he's in my top 3 favorite heroes. And the fact that, we were getting a new Spider-Man property and I wasn't excited for it, I was a little concerned. But after watching the first 2 episodes, I will say that, what they always say, don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, that holds true here. In the first episode, we meet, obviously, Peter Parker, meet his Aunt May, but we also meet his best friend, Nico, also his childhood crush / babysitter, Pearl, along with Harry Osborn and Lonnie Lincoln. So, if you know anything about Spider-Man lore, you would know that usually in the comics, Harry Osborn is Peter Parker's best friend. Now, Pearl, I'm not too familiar with her character, at all. And the same with Nico. I've heard of Nico, I've heard of her character, but I don't know too much about it outside of the stuff that's in this show. Honestly, Lonnie Lincoln is obviously, in the comics, he's Tombstone, the Spider-Man villain. So I'm very interested to see what they do with this show and these characters. One scene with Peter and Aunt May, we hear Peter talking about how he had a rough past year and that he's excited to be accepted into Midtown High and to, start the new year fresh. So it's something positive. Obviously, he's hinting towards Uncle Ben. And one thing that on my first watch, I noticed it, but I thought I was just seeing things. It's like when Peter refers to Uncle Ben, you can see May's wedding ring glow or have this little gleam effect on it. And I thought that was so cool because it's like a little visual nod to show that they're both thinking about Ben, Ben's death is still fresh on their minds. And I thought that was really cool. I also like how instantly they're yeah, no, this is not the same Peter Parker that you know from the MCU. Because when he gets to Midtown High, gets destroyed. This portal opens up above the school and some weird alien pops out. Now, if you're a true Spider-Man fan, you'll notice that this alien looks a little different or black. It's whatever it is, this alien or monster, it's covered in the Venom symbiote. And the person that pops out to stop this alien or monster that's covered in the Venom symbiote is Doctor Strange. Okay, Doctor Strange looks cool in the show. I already like this version better than the MCU's version of Doctor Strange. Like, he looks cool. I've never looked at Benedict Cumberbatch's version of the character and thought like, oh yeah, he got that on. I've never thought that. But this version of Doctor Strange is clean. I like it. He looks cool, has a cool voice. And so we see Doctor Strange fighting this alien with the Venom symbiote attached to it, and it goes like on a rampage, just attacking the school, attacking people, and Peter actually steps in to save Nico. And while all this fighting is happening, a spider is literally coming out of the portal. Obviously, this spider, this Doctor Strange, this Venom symbiote is from another dimension. And as soon as I saw the spider, and I've seen like other people comment this too, it gave me Spider-Verse vibes. Now, I have a theory that this could possibly connect to Spider-Verse. If it does eventually connect, Marvel is officially goated at just telling multiversal stories, because that would be pretty cool. Outside of the stuff that they're doing in the MCU, that stuff is kind of trash, if I'm being honest. But so the spider ends up falling down out of the portal, and Doctor Strange takes the Venom symbiote creature thing into the portal and leaves. So the spider eventually gets on Peter and it bites him. We all know where it goes from there. So Peter is now Spider-Man. He's in his own unique homemade suit. I think like the little shirt he wears that has the spider symbol on it, I'm pretty sure that's like a hockey jersey or something. It's pretty interesting. So now we see Peter's life as Spider-Man. He's late to get into school again, but instead of this time calling, his Aunt May, he decides to swing to school. We see that him and Nico have gotten along pretty well. They're pretty close friends. And then we meet Peter's crush, Pearl, who used to be his babysitter. We eventually meet Lonnie Lincoln, who ends up asking Pearl out, and the two of them become a couple, which makes Peter jealous. And there's a really cool scene where Peter has to be lab partners with Lonnie, and he thinks that Lonnie is an idiot, or just because, that stereotypical jock character like Flash Thompson. Well, Lonnie isn't that. Lonnie is just as much as a nerd as Peter is, as well as an athlete. So it's funny seeing them, like, Peter wants to hate Lonnie, but he's like, oh, this guy's more like me than I expected. So it's like, it's funny seeing him wanting to hate him, but he's like, I can't really hate this guy, he's pretty cool. We eventually meet Harry Osborn, who is getting mugged by some guys, even though he doesn't carry cash on him. And Peter being Spider-Man, he goes and he saves him. I'm pretty sure one of these kids in that's mugging Harry is the Miles Morales NPC guy. I don't know his name. I don't watch that type of content, but the guy who dressed up as Miles Morales and does that NPC stuff, I'm pretty sure he voices one of the guys mugging Harry. I think he's the guy who's recording the live stream, or he's like, recording the mugging or whatever. So Peter makes quick work of those guys, and Harry thanks him or whatnot. And so this is how Peter meets Harry for the first time. And Harry's black, which is different, but whatever. Calm down, people. I'm black too. I can say that. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes, because usually Peter and Harry are in school together. So I don't know how they're gonna do this or spin this, but I'm interested to see it though. And towards the end of the episode, we get this really cool scene of Peter knocking on the door of this pizza restaurant. And it turns out that he caught this woman who stole tips from the pizza restaurant. And, the woman's like, I'm down on my luck right now. Times is hard. She sound mad relatable, not gonna lie. And she's like, I'm sorry. And Peter talks to I guess the guy's the owner of the restaurant. And he's like, listen, between me and you, I honestly think you should just let her go. Yeah, she stole, but I don't think she really wanted to. And you can tell, like, by her plea that she really didn't want to. She really is just struggling. And, the restaurant owner's like, okay, I'll let this slide. And Peter lets her go. And he's like, I like how he comforts her. He's like, everything's going to be okay. You can go, but just don't make me regret this. And she's like, thank you. And she leaves. I thought the way that was handled was very well done. And we don't really get scenes like that. I feel like in superhero media, it's like, yeah, like Peter understood her struggle. And because of that, like, I don't know, like, I feel like we don't see that enough in superhero movies, especially like the Spider-Man movies. Like, when's the last time we've seen a scene like that? I really enjoyed that scene. And the owner of the restaurant gives, Peter a free pizza. Peter goes into an alleyway. He changes clothes, and I think he finds the DVD. No, I think it was a VCR player or something. Something he finds in the trash, and he's like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna take this home." So the next scene is literally just a recreation of the Peter Parker introduction scene in Captain America: Civil War. So we see him walking to his apartment, unlocks the door, says hi to his aunt, goes into the kitchen. He's like, yeah. She's like, how was school? And he was like, yeah, it was okay and whatnot, and everything's cool. And he, I think he gets like a snack or something, and then he looks into the living area and he sees his aunt with Tony Stark. At least that's how it is in the movie. And this show, he's sitting with Norman Osborn, the owner of Oscorp. And this episode ends like that. For the pilot episode, I think it was amazing. They even recreated like the Amazing Fantasy #1 cover with Harry this time, actually. I think it's so, for a first episode, it was very solid. It kept me just entertained throughout the whole episode, so I really don't have too many complaints about this first episode. So episode 2 starts out like the scene from Captain America: Civil War. Norman Osborn tells Peter about a internship at Oscorp, and unlike in Civil War where Tony is just trying to recruit Peter to help him in the airport battle, Norman Osborn is actually offering an internship for Peter. And he tells Peter that, he sees a lot of potential in Peter and he wants him to come and eventually work at Oscorp possibly. So Peter, being Peter Parker, he's like, so does this internship pay? And Norman's like, I take pretty good care of my people. So Norman leaves, and Peter and his aunt May, they celebrate, Peter getting this internship at Oscorp. As Peter goes to school, he starts to bond more with Lonnie. The two of them, get a little closer. And despite the fact that Lonnie is dating Pearl, Peter's crush, so much so that Peter and his friend Nico get invited to a party after the game. And that's where I want to talk about one of the issues I have with the show. And that's the animation. And I didn't really see a problem with it. Like, it always looked a little funky to me since watching the trailers. But it really starts to stand out during the football game. Like we see like the players, they're playing the game, and their movements are like I don't know if stiff is the right word, but it looks really funny. And I think that's my biggest critique on the show in general is the animation. The characters move a little funny. It doesn't seem as fluid, but a big enough complaint to say that the show is bad. So I'm not really gonna, take points away from the show when it comes just because of some wonky animation. Yeah, I'm more interested in character and story, and so far I think the show does a great job of balancing both. Uh, let's talk about Peter's internship at Oscorp. He gets there. Supposedly, he gets there late, even though he got there on time technically. But Peter meets other young people like him who are a part of this internship. Unfortunately, I cannot remember any of the other characters' names in the internship except for Amadeus Cho, and that's only because I know who he is in the comics. But there is a girl from Wakanda there, which is also pretty cool. Uh, so they have to go through these. They're put through these tests by one of the workers at Oscorp, and he's a little hard on them, but especially Peter. But they go through all these tests, and eventually each individual gets put in a different division of Oscorp, and the one that Peter really wants to be a part of is the robotics, which is a callback to like his MCU counterpart, who really is into robotics. Well, I guess the character Peter Parker is as well. And unfortunately, he doesn't get put in that division, but he gets put in a different division. And the division he gets put under is underneath Dr. Connors, which in the show is a woman instead of a man, which is an interesting twist to it. And just like her original male counterpart, she is missing an arm. So if you know anything about Spider-Man, you have an idea where this could go. One thing that I like about this version of Dr. Connors is that, like, just like the original one, like, she built a very genuine, student-teacher bond with Peter. We get to see that, and it's really cool. And later, when Peter has to leave and go be Spider-Man, she actually covers for him. She doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man or anything, but she knows that Peter eventually leaves for whatever reason, but she tries to cover for him so that he doesn't get in trouble. Like how she tried to stand up for Peter in that aspect. And the reason why Peter had to leave was because there was a building on fire. As the interns are on their little break, they're sitting in like a little break room living area, and then just flipping through the TV channels, and one of the channels ends up being the news, and Peter tells them to stop as he sees that an apartment building is on fire. So Peter makes a really dumb excuse. He looks very awkward to leave, and so he goes into the stairway of Oscorp, and he decides to change in the stairway and leaves. Well, when he gets there, it turns out that there's a man inside causing the fire. Now, I know that there's a fire-based Spider-Man villain. I can't remember his name, and the only name I can think of right now is Firefly. But is Firefly not a Batman villain? Is that not a Batman villain, not a Spider-Man villain? I can't remember. I feel so bad right now. But anyway, so the guy says that he was actually paid to burn down this building, so that a company could come in and build new high rises. Well, it turns out this fool is burning down the wrong building. The building he's supposed to be burning down is on 52nd Street. This fool is on 51st Street. So him and Peter, they fight, or Spider-Man, they fight, and Peter. One thing that I love, Peter hit this dude so hard that he knocked him across the street into a pet store. I thought that was pretty funny, and somehow the guy survived. Um, but they start fighting in the pet store. Peter's trying his best to avoid getting burned by this guy, and then there's animals in the pet store, and he's trying to make sure that all the animals are safe. And so he ends up taking the guy out by dropping a huge fish tank on him, and Peter makes sure that the animals are okay, and then he leaves and goes back to Oscorp. Well, when he gets back, all the interns are together with the original guy who was like testing them, and he's like, "Well, where have you been? You can't just, I don't know what you kids think, but you can't just walk around a $1 billion company's building all willy-nilly, like that. Like, I don't know what you think this is." And again, this is where Dr. Connors tries to, stand up for Peter. And so what ends up happening is that a security guard comes into the room that they're in, and he's like, "Dr. Osborn wants to speak with you." And the guy is like, "I don't know, I don't like this guy who was testing the interns. He is so rude. Like, when he thinks that the security guard is talking to him, he just like digs into this guy saying, 'Yo, you dumb idiot, worthless piece of crap. Wait, all right, I'm in the middle of something.'" And he's like, "Bro, I'm not even talking. I'm talking to the kid, talking to Peter Parker." So Peter walks up into Norman Osborn's office, and he's staring out the window like a true villain. And Peter like quickly tries to explain, like, "Yo, I'm sorry for wandering off and leaving. Like, I really want to be here. Being here is a dream come true for me. I asked, would you please give me a second chance?" And Norman's like, "Yeah, I'm not really here to talk about any of that, really." He's like, "But I want to show you something though." So Norman takes his monitor and he turns it around, and we see Peter in the stairway putting on his Spider-Man costume and swinging out. So Norman Osborn knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and the episode ends right there. Both these episodes were really solid. Again, I'm so excited to see what they do with these characters and the different dynamics that they set up. I'm pretty sure Norman Osborn, knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, will tie more into Peter and Harry eventually growing into friends. I mean, that's what just like I would think that would happen in the show. Like, Peter Parker and Harry Osborn are always friends. So I don't know if Norman knowing that Peter is Spider-Man is gonna help build that relationship for the two of them or not. I want to know if Doctor Strange is coming back. I know there's going to be some other characters that make appearances, like Daredevil is supposed to be in the show. From what I hear, Peter is also supposed to be getting different suits. Now, we see his homemade suit, and in the trailers we see him wearing a white and black suit, which is his suit that he wears when he's a part of the Future Foundation. Which that suit, if you've played the Spider-Man PS games, that suit looks amazing in the games. When they added that suit, I was so happy. Like, I wore that suit all the time when I played the first Spider-Man game, because I don't know, that suit is just so fire. Like, it looks cool in the comics, but in the video game it looks even better. How it looks in the show, like through the trailers, it's kind of it's okay. But that suit is pretty cool. I actually would have preferred to have seen him get it from the Fantastic Four and not Norman Osborn. But it is what it is. This is a completely different universe. It can tell its own story. I said I would talk about the art style, and that's what I'm gonna do right here. The art style, I actually really enjoy it. It looks like the Amazing Fantasy comics, and I think that is so cool, and it makes the show stand out so much. It looks completely different from any other animated series Marvel has done, and I really enjoy that. Again, the animation is a little wonky, but I don't really care about that. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, episodes 1 and 2. I'll probably make another video after the show ends, or at least after the season ends. It's gonna have 10 episodes. I really enjoyed the show. Like I said, I wasn't really looking forward to it at all, but you really can't judge a book by its cover, because this show is written very well. Again, I like that, it was originally supposed to be an origin story for the MCU, but then they let that go and decided to let it be its own thing. And I like what it's doing so far, and I'm actually looking forward to watching the rest of the season. So if you're a Spider-Man fan, I wouldn't even say a fan of the MCU, because I know a lot of people have dropped the MCU, but if you're a fan of just Spider-Man in general, I do believe that you will find something in the show you'll like. So that's all I have for this video. Give this video a like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. Down in the comments, tell me, have you seen the show? What are your opinions on it? And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.